Hey everyone, let's jump right in. Welcome to today's explainer, where we are going on an absolute adventure through our source text. Now, if you're ready for a journey that involves a massive, heroic sacrifice, some incredibly tricky illusions, and making the ultimate choice, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're exploring a really powerful piece of writing called Present Advantages and Future Benefits, and it's all about figuring out what is genuinely valuable. We're going to break it down, make it super clear, and see how it applies directly to you. So get focused, get ready, and let's jump right to our very first question.
So I want you to stop and think for just a second. Who is your absolute best friend in the whole world? Picture them in your mind right now. Okay, now think about a time your best friend did you a truly huge favor. Like maybe you forgot your lunch at home and they split their sandwich with you. Or maybe they stood up for you when someone else was being really mean. How did that make you feel? Pretty amazing, right? Our source text points out that it's completely natural for us to hold on to feelings of gratitude toward friends who help us out when we're in a tough spot. Our hearts just naturally warm up to people who show us kindness. But the text asks us to take that warm, grateful feeling and compare it to something much, much bigger.
Because what's really interesting here is how the text compares these two things. On side A, we have a friend's favor, sharing that lunch, helping you with homework, awesome stuff. But on side B, we have Jesus' sacrifice. The author of our text writes that the friendship expressed by even our absolute nearest and dearest friends is so completely surpassed by what Jesus did that earthly friendship is actually dumb and expressionless when compared to it. Now, hold on. The author doesn't mean your friends are silly. Dumb in this older style of writing literally means speechless. It means that if you take the absolute biggest favor your best friend ever did for you and put it right next to what Jesus did, your friend's favor wouldn't even have the words to describe how small it is in comparison. So the really crucial point here is we need to understand what side B actually looks like.
All right, section 1, the ultimate sacrifice.
To see exactly what this massive favor was and why the source text says it demands our ultimate gratitude, the author guides us right to a very famous verse, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. It says, "Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross." I really want you to look closely at those words. The text says he endured the cross. That was not easy. It was incredibly painful and scary. But why did he do it? Look right at the middle part. For the joy that was set before him. What was that joy? Well, according to this text, the joy was saving you. The source invites us to literally picture the scene of the crucifixion, to actually see the Son of God taking your place. That is the ultimate favor.
And this brilliantly illustrates the big question the author asks us next. Will seeing this amazing spectacle on the cross actually awaken our gratitude? Will it sweep away our coldness and indifference? You know what coldness and indifference are, right? It's when you just shrug and say, whatever, I don't really care. You see, sometimes we get so used to hearing these stories that our senses get steely and hard. We kind of stop feeling amazed by it. The text is actively challenging us to wake up, to look at that huge sacrifice and let it totally melt away any of that coldness in our hearts. Because as we're about to see, there's a very specific reason we sometimes feel cold and distracted.
Moving on to section 2, beware the enchantments.
So, the source text warns us that the reason we get distracted involves a very tricky adversary who is working overtime against us, and it uses a really fascinating word to describe his tools: enchantments. Now, when I say enchantment, please don't think of a fun magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat at a birthday party. According to the text, we are talking about dangerous distractions. An enchantment is a fake magic trick or a shiny illusion designed specifically to steal your attention away from what is truly important. The source warns that Satan, described right here as the adversary of souls, uses these enchantments to totally deaden our feelings. He wants to distract you with shiny, temporary things so you completely forget about that ultimate sacrifice we just talked about.
So here is the adversary's actual playbook, mapped out directly from our reading. Step 1, he uses devices and enchantments. These are the everyday distractions of the world. Maybe it's being entirely obsessed with having the coolest shoes, or playing video games all day long, or just caring way too much about what the popular kids think. Then step 2, he steals away the senses. He basically makes you numb to the big, eternal things. And step 3, okay, this is the wildest part of the text. It says our affections for eternal things become trammeled, bound as by magical cords. Just imagine an illusionist tying up your hurt with invisible, magical ropes so that you can only care about little, everyday matters and you completely ignore the massive, eternal reward waiting for you. It's literally a trap.
Which brings us to section 3, the greatest trade.
But hey, don't worry, the text doesn't leave us trapped. The author presents a really logical argument right here about sacrifice. And honestly, it's something you already understand. Think about your allowance, or any money you might get for your birthday. If you spend it instantly on cheap candy, well, it's gone. But if you endure a little privation, which just means giving up something you want right now, and you save that money, you can buy a really awesome skateboard or a huge Lego set later. You're basically trading a little present comfort for a massive future reward. So, the author asks, if people will make this trade for paltry or cheap earthly things, how much more should we be willing to sacrifice for what Jesus offers? The text points out that he is offering future immortal life, incomparable riches, and glory. The text is essentially telling us to be smart and not to trade eternal treasure for easy comfort or worldly advantages right now. I mean, that would be the worst trade ever.
And that leads to a super powerful warning straight from the text. Let not the sorcery of earthly enchantments steal the affections from God and harden the heart to eternal interest. The author is pleading with the reader, do not let the world's cheap magic tricks rob you. The message here is that the sorcery of popularity, or getting more stuff, or just easy comfort, can actually harden your heart. All those shiny things of this earth, they're just illusions, trying to steal your attention away from the absolute best friend you could ever have.
Okay, so what is our ultimate action plan? The text finishes up with 3 incredible commands for the reader. First, look at the things that are unseen. It's asking us to look right past those illusions and focus on the eternal life that's waiting. Second, enshrine Jesus in the heart. Now, to enshrine something means to put it in the most special, protected VIP spot possible. It means putting him right at the very center of your life. And third, love him with your whole soul. Not just a little bit or just when it's super easy, but with absolutely everything you've got because of the massive sacrifice he made for you. Which brings us to the ultimate question for you to think about today. After looking at all the evidence from our source text, the choice is entirely yours. Will you fall for the world's cheap magic tricks, those enchantments designed to tie you up and steal your attention? Or will you be wise, see right through the illusions, and choose the eternal treasure? I really hope this explainer helped you see the massive difference between the two. Think about that choice today. Keep your eyes on the unseen, and we will see you next time.